I need all the wins.
Welcome again to our show, Get to Know the Sevens in the Sun. Today, I have a very special guest that will bring a whole legion, I think it's a legion of legends that coming to Villarreal Sant Antonio to play in the Vets tournament. But I think they could fare well in the elite tournament or the Man Open with the young guns. I'm sure of that. So today is to talk about with David Higgins. He's the leader or the organizer, if we want to call it like this, of the 100 World Legends. So, David, for the people at home asking, what is the 100 World Legends? What is all about? What is the project?
Okay, the 100 World Legends. In fact, there's more than 100 now. There's about 140. So, but we can't keep changing the title as new members join. It's basically ex-international players. Everyone has to have represented their country and either at 15s or 7s and be capped. And the players come from every, most of the countries that play rugby, northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere. It is an idea that's evolved from the players themselves and also my input. It's basically to give the players all together have a big voice, and together they can make an impact, and that's part of the reason they want to be involved. Although it's based around rugby, the rugby is not the important thing. The rugby itself is either in the form of a exhibition game or a Legends tournament. It's really just a catalyst for the work that can be done from that point. Working with the local community, working with children's charities and areas that we cover in our foundation. The foundation has 4 pillars that we look to support: mental health, community disasters, health and severe illnesses, especially with youth in mind, and environmental resources. So it's a very broad spectrum. So basically, wherever we go, it is open for charities or youth projects to come and ask for our involvement. There's no cost to them. We're there to help. With a tournament where you've got maybe 20 players, it's a case that they can be split into smaller groups so we can maximize the impact for the local communities. Working through a tournament or through a national body, through then the clubs, and through the clubs then to the charities that they support or their members support. So basically it's a centerpiece to really get the rugby community together and look to see how we can maximize what we can do in that region. So basically.
Oh, very good intro. So the interview is done. I'm joking. See, in Villarreal Sant Antonio, what is the cause that brings you here? What is the message that the legends seek to put it out?
Well, we've been, we have a number of members in Portugal. Pedro Lil, Antonio Aguero, and many others now, because we haven't all joined since this. So it's basically to sort of spread the word and our ideas and get then the local community. But the main feature that we are at the moment when it comes to community disasters, there's no other bigger disaster than what's happening in Ukraine, and we sort of can react very quickly, and we have done over the last many months. Soon after the invasion started, within days, we were working on projects to basically support Ukraine in the way of funding transportation, haulage of supplies collected by the Ukrainian societies. Mostly we've operated in the UK, working with the Ukrainian Society of Great Britain, but with Portugal, they have a very active Ukrainian groups and society. So basically, we're wanting to sort of link up with them and see how we can help them. It isn't always financial; it's also the media coverage. If we can have players from 5 or 6 countries, all high-profile players, going along to help at a store, a warehouse, as they do here in the UK, then that also helps. It gets across the message that there are certain things that are required at certain times. So you don't always need sort of big, thick coats to go to Ukraine at this time of year. You need, other things, food, and especially medical supplies. So that's basically one of the reasons, and it's also the launch for what we have in mind over the next year, both in the Algarve and in Lisbon.
Okay, so we have here the cause. It's a very good one. Thank you, David, for coming along to help Ukraine and the Ukrainian people. In terms of the Algarve Sevens, why coming to Villarreal Sant Antonio? Why do you choose to come to this south side of Europe to play rugby, and more than that, to spread the word and to make everyone jump aboard this project?
Well, it's basically to get everyone thinking. Everyone can do their bit. Everyone can step out their comfort zone, and by doing that a little, they can actually do a lot. And together, the rugby community don't just talk about it. We can actually do things. We have the manpower in rugby. We have, with the 100 world legends, we have the names, and they have their contacts. So it's basically to get everyone involved. And it is surprising once you start talking to people how quickly they can say, "Oh, I know somebody who's involved in, dentistry, a chain of dentists, so they have access to certain medical supplies that are needed, and other companies that actually produce the items can actually help contribute. And in return, what we're doing, if they're supporting us, we support them. It isn't the case we just want money to shove their branding on our shirt. We're there to help them promote their companies in those various countries. We hit the rich countries to help us pay for work in the poor countries.
Okay. David, tell us how it started, this 100 World Legends. Now, more than 100, but where did it start? When did it start? Are you the founding father, for to say?
Well, basically, it's my idea, and it was my pestering the players. It all started probably about 6-7 years ago when I got a bit disillusioned with rugby, and I wanted to play overseas, and I wanted to see the expats communities and see how they enjoy their rugby and the social side. So I contacted the Hong Kong Potbellies to see if I could go over and play in an event. They were out of season at the time, and they suggested to go to Dubai because they just started a charity team there. So I contacted them, and they had an event happening that week. So basically, I got myself a flight and flew over and participated in a vets tournament, the very first one there, with this that this new team was participating in, and basically flew back the next day. And they thought that was quite amazing, and then invited me to play in a so-called Legends team at Dubai in the sevens. So I thought that was great. Yeah, let me have a look at it. And I looked at it, and I was playing against international teams with like Colin Jarvis in the Royals, and Jason Robinson, and Jason White, and Gavin Kerr in the Steelers. And that gave you such a buzz that sort of actually attempted to try and get fit. And when we arrived and we played, we were really rubbish. But then basically we were just a warm-up games for the bigger teams before they go on to play better teams in the tournament. But talking to the international players, you suddenly realize that these guys are just normal, and they're better than normal because they don't have to talk to everybody. They don't have to show interest in what you do. And basically I thought that buzz I got if that could be taken to the Highlands of Scotland or taken somewhere else where players never get a chance to see these ex-internationals, let alone play against them, and give them such a big buzz and a real day to remember as they're finishing their rugby career, all for the sake of the local communities and charities. So I did events here in Scotland, bringing in a Scotland team, an England team, an Ireland and Wales team in the Southern Hemisphere. I just bugged the hell out of all ex-international players. I was looking up their wiki pages, checking how old they were, finding them on Facebook, and then contacting them, and then contacting all their mates. And basically, I gradually got them on board and got more and more on board, and it just steamrolled there. And then now we're the ones who win Dubai, and we do that tournament because it's sort of centre. Our New Zealand players can join up with our European players. Unfortunately, not for the last 2 years. There's been a bit of a hold up, but we're back on track now. And that's how it started, and it just grew arms and legs, and what we can do has increased. We want to play the national teams of tier 2, tier 3 countries, and then use that as the catalyst. And you can't get much higher in that country than playing that. But playing those countries, they've never had the likes of British Lions, ex-British Lions players, or players from France, or the top players from Portugal, being in those countries. So it's a big thing. So that's one of the aspects we look at. We look at also our own tournaments to play the old boys in the local area as well. And then we also do our Rugby for Life camps, which is 2 to 4 players going to places like Laos, or hopefully in Cambodia and Sri Lanka, to help promote sport, but also lay the pathway for us to do a bigger event to help the community there. So that's basically where it stands at the moment. It's a 24/7 job, and it's not my main job. It's just my part-time, full-time job.
But you have a lot of fun with it, I think.
I have, yeah, I do. I get inspiration. I get inspiration when you're talking to guys like Frank Bunce, and also like Chester Williams. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us. But these are the elder statesmen of rugby, and when they say this is a great idea, Dave, just keep going, then you just keep going. And as new players come, it's a case to get them into the idea that rugby events is not just a jolly. You can do so much more, and together you have a big voice. And now more and more get to see that, and together they can. Together they can move mountains. So
good. From a snowball to an avalanche.
Wow.
But it's good. It's a powerful message and a powerful project. Just a quick question, a funny one. What was the first player that you were able to bring along with you to this team? Do you remember?
The first player who actually joined us was Junior Paramore. And Junior is a really good friend of mine, and he's actually going to be in Portugal with us. And from there, we got more and more that joined us. Guys like Nicky Little from Fiji. You've got Victor Abugu, Lee Mears does a lot, Dylan Armitage does a lot. So more and more can't come on board. I would say over a course of a year, if we do 10 events, from big team events to small Rugby for Life camps, we probably would call on maybe 90 to 100 players. That's why 100 World Legends sort of suits, because it's about 100 would be involved. But there's certain players that participate in most things. Alan Bateman, for example, is one of the greatest gentlemen I know, and everyone just admires Alan, and he will join in most events. There are players who will just make sure that they're there at the next event because they believe in what we're trying to do. And it is great when you get the players together who probably never been together in a social in the same team. doing for a cause, and they come from New Zealand, and they're meeting up with, you know, Shane Byrne from Ireland, and you get players together who admire these other players who may be 10 years older than they are, and excitement for them to be in the same room as these guys. And you build friendships. Instead of playing against each other, you're playing with each other for a new cause. Your team is now not England, or it's not Scotland. You're playing for the world now. You're playing for a cause.
That's so good to hear. Junior Paramore, I didn't see him play because he is a bit older than me. I'm 34. But what is good or funny about the 100 Legends is this is multi-generational. So they are heroes from guys from the 80s, 90s, 200s, and now 210s. So it's for everyone. It's just not for just a small type of group of people. It's for everyone, and the players know that.
Yeah. Well, we have quite a number that don't play anymore. I mean, a lot of ex-internationals have retired due to injury, and so they won't play. Then others, they're just past that. But they bring more to the table than just playing. They bring to the table who they are. I say, like, the word legend is overused, and sometimes embarrassing to say. But to me, a player can be a legend from his club. He can be a legend for his country. But now, a world legend, it's not what they did 10 years ago. It's not what they did on the grass. It's what they did yesterday, and it's what they did today, and it's what they're going to do tomorrow makes them the legend, because they can do so much. And that's the great thing, to see these guys in action. I mean, when we've been in places where we visit, like an autism center, like in Dubai, we spent 2 hours learning about autism, and these players would then learn about it. You've got 6.5 foot tall second row players, big guys, who are nervous about a young child who's flapping around, and and it's hard to sort of know what to do. But they learn what to do, and basically that young child, all he wanted to do was hold your hand and go around with you. And that's what the players did. Instead of stepping back, they stepped forward. And that's a great thing, that they can then take that experience, they can take that and go elsewhere and explain that. I mean, one of the great things we'd like to do is have, like, our own autism day. 140 players will step out to their local or autism group and participate around the world in the same 24 hours. That's big news, and that's what we want to do. We want to generate news for good causes. That's worth more than some sums of money. It will probably bring in businesses that will support those groups.
This is fundamental because it brings awareness to people and changes things. This is rattles the cages and make people want to come out and support. And it's such a good initiative. You said this started 7 years ago, so a lot of work, a lot of nights not well slept because you had to get players and to get everything sorted out. But now you're looking for Portugal into Villarreal, Sant Antonio. Besides the playing thing, because the old vets in Portugal are dying to play against you, because against and with you, because they want to have fun with these legends. Yeah. But what do you want to see from the public, from the Portuguese rugby community there? What you want, and what you expect from them?
Well, we want to be able to interact with the groups. I understand we will be interacting with a local orphanage, which would be great to get them there and to play ball with them. It doesn't have to be a rugby. You're there to help sport. If there's be in touch with people who are involved with disability. We want to promote women in sport, and of course we want to sort of meet up with the local Ukrainians. So the local community can help by supporting various charities. We're not after funding to go into our account that we will then use for another day. It's basically there to help the community, and if it means that even some of them are thinking, well, I'll go along and help at the Ukrainian centre and I'll help pack boxes, or oh, my dad runs a haulage business and we can lend you some, we'll pay for one lorry to go to Poland and to the border for Ukraine. So we just want them to be aware. We want them to help come and participate. We want them to, if they're involved in a charity, talk to us, because we want to be back. This is only the start. We want to be back. We're talking with Jose. Hopefully we'll be doing something in Lisbon. We're looking at with the Pedro and Antonio, we have been discussing the idea of playing the national team. Though that's only at the moment early days, but that would be a great event. To spark a lot of work. Maybe do some training and youth sessions down in the Algarve before going to Lisbon. It is a case that we can. We can adapt. We can operate very quickly with a bit of support. We can act very quickly. We've got players, and it isn't a case. I mean, within 24 hours, we had, we basically were coming to Portugal, and it was on a Sunday afternoon that I was talking to Jose. Well, by Monday night, we had the squad of 20 or so players with over 750 caps between them. So. It's now quite easy to put a team together. For horses for courses, you don't want too many of the older players, because you still want to have the younger players, because it's really to get them more involved. But the older players are there to participate, because everyone wants to see the older players play. And we're not there to win. We're not there to win the tournament. And as I said to Jose, hopefully we can just play all the teams, but we won't be the winners. Our points won't count. We won't lift the cup. Another team might as well have that experience and have that fun of winning the tournament. But everyone's had the fun by playing the legend. So we're not there to put huge points past people. We're not there to hurt people. They're just to enjoy be on the pitch. What rugby's really. The good things about rugby. The competition's good, but
it's besides that, right?
Yeah.
We are finishing our interview now. A difficult question for you. It's a quick one, but difficult. How could you define the word legend for you in 3 words?
In 3 words.
In 3 words, yes.
Well. As I said to you, the word legend is overused and has been cut down quite a bit. But as I mentioned before, it's a rugby legend is not only what they've done on the pitch, it is what they're doing now. It's what they want to do for their communities and others. They're stepping out their comfort zone. They're doing that little bit extra. And you talk to them, and that's what comes across. I can't do that weekend, Dave, because I'm doing this charity cycle ride, or I'm doing this or doing that. They're already involved in lots of things, and it's just really to sort of get part of their time to do that. So, to me, a legend is who they are, and the fact that they get the respect for that. It isn't just for what they did; it's what they do now.
Oh, this is good. A very good interview. Thank you for the definition, because I agree with you. Sometimes we call any player a legend, and it's beyond what they do in the field. It's what they do outside of it.
Yeah, it's very good. I'm a nobody when it comes to rugby. I'm just a club player who's played for 50 years, and the thing is, I have to turn around to a pro player, who's played 100-odd games for a Premier club, and I have to say, well, you can't be one of the guys. You're not capped. It's very difficult to say that to people. We do include some players who are giving more then, but you can sneak one in. You can sneak one player in the squad to play, and he doesn't have a cap, although he may have been England A or Saxons or something. But it is, you have to have a line, and the line is they have to have represented their nation, and we got 14 countries involved. We have players from 14 nations. We want to keep that. And we always try and make sure there's at least sort of 8. Coming to a tournament.
Okay.
And we don't do many tournaments, by the way. We don't go and do tournaments.
50
We do
tournaments, yeah.
This is the only one that we are. This and Dubai are the only 2 tournaments that we aim to do, because we don't. We're not there to play and be a team playing. We've got to be able to be doing things. So we do our own events. We do our own Legends tournaments where we play all local teams. There's no 35-year-old team that does the circuit. It's all about the old boys of one club who've played for 25 years, who are 50 years of age, and they want 3 minutes on the park playing against their heroes. That's what we want to do. And in return, they get involved, and they support the charities that in that region.
Well, this is excellent. Thank you for talking with us about the 100 World Legends. We already posted in Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn about some of the guys who are going to be here. I'm just going to read some names so people at home be aware of who's coming to Vila Real Sant Antonio in the next 11 and 12 of June. It's Kevin Max, Tom Verdell, Junior Paramore, because I want to see him because I know some guys from England. He says he's a very funny person and is always giving good stories and so on. Johnny Leota, Lee Miolek, Terry Fanalua, Max Evans. So you have you have Pedro Leal, Antonio Aguilar, João Correia. There'll be a great mix of players in Vila Real Sant Antonio to play, but not to play, to have fun and to talk to you and to share their ideas of what rugby and sports should be about. Yeah. Thank you, David, for coming to our show to get to know the Sevens in the Sun. I hope I'm going to see you there. And
well, hopefully we'll get a Q&A, one evening with the players, and you'll be comparing that maybe.
Okay, we can do it.
Saves me doing it.
Okay, this is going to be fun. Okay,
we're wearing the that's one thing that we've done. Which our strips always had the same pattern on, but the colors change, and at the moment, because Ukraine is really needs help, then our colors are Ukraine, and we have Stand By Ukraine. We stand by Ukraine on our shirts, because that's what we're doing.
Yeah, and that's a very powerful message. We stand with Ukraine. So this was one of the surprises from the Algarve Sevens, is this message and what we're going to do there to help Ukraine. Thank you, David, also again for coming to the show. See you soon. This was your Sevens in the Sun with David Higgins from the 100 World Legends. See you next time. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thanks a lot. Talk again. Bye.